Hello, I'm Anthony Cherokee, and this is episode 4 of the Studio Prep video series titled The Emotional Shock of Hearing Yourself Play Back. Now, there's a moment in almost every recording session that catches people off guard. Not the setup, it's not the technical stuff, it's not even the performance, it's the first playback. You finish a take, everyone goes quiet, and your voice comes back through the speakers, and suddenly you think, oh my God, do I really sound like that? Now, this episode is actually one of the most important ones in this whole series because this is where people start to wobble emotionally. All the stuff we've talked about before, all the preparation and everything just goes down the drain. And, there are people that actually will quit their entire music career because they get so emotionally impacted by hearing their voice for the first time. That experience can be extremely uncomfortable for some. Let's talk about why. First, the voice you hear in your head is not the same voice the world hears. They've been hearing that voice your whole life. You just haven't heard it yet. So, when you speak or sing, you're hearing yourself partly through bone conduction inside your skull. That adds warmth and low frequencies. It makes your voice feel fuller. And when you hear a recording, you're hearing it the way everyone else hears it, through the air, through microphones, and it's totally different. That difference alone can make you feel very exposed. But second, recordings are honest, to the point of being painfully honest. Microphones don't just capture notes, they capture your breath, your mouth noise, micro inflections, little timing inconsistencies. Things no one would ever notice live suddenly feel magnified, and your brain, being the helpful survival machine that it is, immediately zooms in on those flaws. It doesn't say nice tone, it says that one syllable was really freaking weird. What was that about? And this is normal. There's something psychological happening also. When you write a song, it's very abstract. It lives in a very safe place in your imagination, but when you record it, suddenly it becomes real. It becomes documented, it becomes permanent, and that can make you feel very vulnerable. Your songs are a piece of you, and they're very personal to you, and now it's being exposed to everybody in the world. It's not just an idea anymore, it's something people can actually judge. And that vulnerability often shows up as self-criticism. You may be telling yourself, I hate my voice, I don't sound professional, I thought I was better than that. Well, let me tell you something important. Almost everybody says some version of that at some point. Even experienced artists, even talented artists, even artists you admire. Here's the other part people don't realize. Raw tracks are not finished records. When you hear your first playback, you're hearing something unfinished, and everybody knows that. There's no EQ shaping, compression, there's no saturation, no automation, no final mix balance, no mastering. It's like judging a movie based on the unedited clips. The studio process is designed to refine and shape what you captured. So if your first playback feels underwhelming, it doesn't mean you're bad. It just means you're at the beginning of the process. There's also an adjustment curve. So the first time you hear your recorded voice, it feels foreign. For the 5th time, it's going to feel a lot more normal. And by the 10th time, you start hearing your performance instead of just, oh my God, that's me. Your ear calibrates, your brain calibrates. And that's why I always encourage artists not to make big emotional decisions after the first playback. Let it breathe, zoom out a little bit, ask better questions like, instead of, do I sound amazing? Did I communicate the right emotion? Does it feel honest? Is the energy right? Remember, perfection is not the goal. Connection is the goal. And there are artists who are technically flawless and emotionally forgettable. You've probably heard some of those. Other artists that have a lot of imperfections are completely unforgettable. So the goal in the studio isn't to erase your humanity, it's to capture it in a way that translates. So if you feel that emotional shock when you hear yourself back, here's what I want you to remember. You're not broken. Your voice is not wrong. You're just adjusting to hearing yourself objectively. And that discomfort is part of the growth process. And once you move past that initial reaction, something powerful actually happens. You stop asking yourself, do I sound good? And you start asking, does this represent me? And that's when the recording becomes exciting instead of scary. But you have to go through that process. Everybody does. Because when you get to that point, you're no longer chasing perfection. You're shaping your identity. And that's the whole reason you started making music in the first place, right? If you enjoyed this video, be sure to check out episode 5 of the Studio Prep video series titled DIY versus Studio, The Real Trade-Offs. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you never miss an episode.